problems like this, where you're graphing a system of linear inequalities. These questions are not really hard to do, but their phone should be away, please. But they're the part that's tricky. You tell me if I'm wrong. You guys have started this probably. The part that's the trickiest is finding the region to shade. Agreed? The graphing lines, you guys know how to graph lines. You've been doing that for years, right? I mean, that's not a hard thing to do anymore, to graph the boundary lines, but finding the region is just a little bit tricky. So let's look at this one together real quick. So what if we let's take this line, make it a little bigger so you can see it. 2x minus 3y is greater than or equal to -6. If I want to graph that linear inequality, what do? Right, first step is we got to put this into slope-intercept form. Okay, so what's the first step then? Everybody agree? I got to get the y by itself, so I'm going to subtract that 2x term over to the other side. That means I've just got a 3y on the left side, -3y. On the right side, I'm going to put the x term first. I subtracted it to that side, so I get a -2x minus 6. Okay, now what? Good, divide by -3. I got to get that y by itself. So we divide the right side by -3, but we're going to do it term by term, right? Split it into separate fractions. So those guys cancel. I get the y by itself. I divided by a negative, so what do I have to remember to do? Flip the inequality. Good. Now, what is this going to be? So I'm going to end up with something on this side of the form mx plus b. I want to know what's the fraction that's going to go in front of x. What's m going to be? Positive 2/3. Good, because negative over negative is positive, and I can't reduce that fraction, right? So I'm stuck with 2/3 x, what? Plus 2. -6 over -3 is plus 2. So there, I'm going to put a box around it. There's our first inequality to graph. Okay, let's graph that one. So I didn't know about this trick until like just a couple days ago. You guys showed this to me. This is pretty good. I don't even have to go down and use that button, right? You guys know about this? You can just click on the graph and you get that little menu that pops up, and you can just go right into the graph and do all the graphing without having to use that tool specifically. So what kind of boundary line am I going to be using here? Solid or dashed? Solid. So I'm going to pick a line, solid. Now, how do I graph this line? Good, because b is 2, right? The slope is 2/3, the y-intercept is 2. So I'm going to start at positive 2, and what is my slope triangle telling me to do? Good, exactly. Rise 2, run to the right by 3. When we say run, we always run to the right, don't we? So 2/3, there's my boundary line. Let's not fill in any paint cans yet. Let's just get the boundary lines first. That's one thing I think is helpful. Okay, the rest of these are much easier. That one required a little bit of algebra, but the other ones aren't so bad. Like this guy right here, we'll make this the red one. 3x plus, didn't give myself enough room, did I? Come on, whoops. 3x plus y is less than or equal to 8. What's the one step to get the y by itself? Subtract 3x. Good. So then our red equation, or red inequality, y is less than or equal to -3x plus 8. So help me with that one. If I want to graph that one, good. I got to come over and get a solid line. I start at 8, and then what do? What's my slope triangle going to be, everybody? Everybody agree? Rise by -3, run by +1, because -3 is the same thing as -3 over +1, right? Okay. So we're going down 3 over 1. There we go. We got 2 of our boundary lines. The last one is already done. this guy, I'll just make it bigger, but it's just y is greater than or equal to -3. Okay, describe that boundary line. Show me with your arms. How's that one going to look? Yeah, that's horizontal. Good, because it's y is a constant, right? So all the y values are the same. They're all going to be -3. So we can just pick solid line. I'm going to go to, can I not do that on here? There we go, like that. Agreed? Okay, so we did that. Now what? Now we got to fill in the region that corresponds to the overlapping shaded region, right? So how do we do that? Well, one thing we could do, let me get out of there. How do I get out of there? There we go. One thing I could do is I could just maybe sketch this on my scratch paper real quick and just use arrows. That's one possibility. So if I took that first line, that blue line, am I shading above or below my blue boundary line, the one that's got a positive slope? Below. Okay, so one thing I'm doing is I'm going to go below that one. The red one is the line with a negative slope. Am I shading above or below that one? Below. Okay, so I'm shading below this guy as well. So far, if I'm below both of those, where does that put me? Yeah, kind of that triangular region down here. Everybody see that? Right? So again, maybe I'll make those arrows again. So I'm going below that one and below that one, puts me down in here, right? And then the last one, I'm shading above or below the green one. Yeah, above the green one. So I would take, the green line was the horizontal one. So I'm taking this region and shading above. Well, that's going to give me that triangle piece in the middle, isn't it? Okay, the other way that I think is really helpful when you're dealing with lots of overlapping inequalities, the other thing you could do here that I think works is just go in with the paint can and fill them all in. And then just subtract them as you go. Oh, what am I doing there? Come on. There we go. Okay, I think that guy got delete. There we go. So I got them all. Now we could just go through and, why does it keep doing that? Yeah, I'm going to get rid of all those. Those are messing me up. Clear all the annotations out. Oh, I didn't really want to do that, did I? No. I'm just going to do this. I'm just going to clear out. Why can I not do that? Oh my goodness. I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, so now let's go through it and just get rid of a bunch of these. So the blue inequality, we said we're going to be shading below the line with a positive slope. So that means I could go up and click on these paint cans and delete them. So I'm deleting those shaded regions, right? Because I know those ones can't be, those can't be the right answer. There we go. Finally, those two got deleted. Okay, now what? We're shading below this line. So that means I could delete that paint can right there that's highlighted. And I could delete that paint can. And then finally, I want to go above the horizontal line, which means I delete that one. And that's the only one that's left over that didn't get deleted. Does that make sense? Just, a couple different approaches to this if you want to. You could also just, there's a bunch of graph paper up there. If you want to just graph it and shade it on graph paper and then do it that way, you can. But I don't think you need to. I think you can do it right on the graphing tool here if you're just kind of systematic about it. Okay, any questions? Okay, go. I'll let you go. Get your questions answered. I've gotten good questions all day.